Okay. No.
Yeah, so we've got
Game preservation news.
2 bits of
Game preservation
news
news.
when it comes to game preservation. One that we should have talked about last week.
You want to start with that one or
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with that one. So the one that we missed last week.
Again, I don't know how we missed it because we both talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
And we just didn't put it down in the topic.
It was very exciting. It was right after the marathon.
That's true. Excuses.
So UWC wrestling prototype. So UWC was Universal Wrestling Corporation.
This was that weird period when it was like NWA right before WCW, before it transitioned to WCW. They were figuring it out where it was going. So Universal Wrestling Corporation, which I don't even know, was that even like a TV show ever?
I don't think so. It says so. It's called UWC, which stands for Universal Wrestling Corporation, the placeholder name that was used by WCW during its purchase by Ted Turner in 1988.
So we're talking like probably like a 6-month period of time or something like this is going to be our name. That, oh, no, we're going to go to World Championship Wrestling.
Right.
In between.
So,
which I used to watch on TBS, by the way. I watched some good old WCW in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the first Clash of the Champions. I saw that Ric Flair Sting match on TV when it went to the draw at the end, when he had him in the Scorpion Deathlock.
Oh, yeah.
And Ric Flair was like, no, and he didn't give up. And that was my first time I saw Sting and Ric Flair, I believe. Yeah. It was like, what was that, 89? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So it was discovered by Stephen Reese, a.k.a. Archon 1981.
He was a YouTuber.
Got a hold of the copy of it from...
His ex-Nintendo employee.
A former Nintendo employer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who was given the game for testing simply because apparently that guy liked wrestling and he just held on to it forever and never got rid of it. The ROM will be dumped online soon so that anyone who wants to check it out can. It looks a little bit like the WCW game that ended up coming out. However, when you watch it,
it's not.
It's noticeably missing some things like the power bars and
it's
and
a different
that.
game.
Yeah, it's a different game.
Which
the
is,
sprites, just the wrestlers themselves have a slightly similar look.
And this is why it's interesting. It's interesting because originally I believe the employee just figured, oh, it's just a prototype for the WCW game. It's not. It's a totally different game. No one knew about this game. Like, this wasn't on anyone's radar. Yeah. This wasn't like a game like Bioforce 8 that you heard of for a long time. They finally found it. This was like, holy shit, this is a new game that we didn't know about. That's pretty much finished.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this slipped under the radar. This is one of those tales of game preservation where, you know, if no one from the company tells you about it or keeps records, it gets lost to the annals of time. And so when you look at it, it's eight wrestlers. You can do tag team, right, or single player action. And who are the wrestlers we got here? We got...
so there's Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal, Bobby Eaton.
I think it's Stan Lane, not Lex Luger, for the Midnight Express, right? Yeah. Ric Flair.
Sting.
You want Sting?
Sting's got to be in there.
Yeah, it's Sting.
Okay.
Top row there. And then who's the other guy there? I can't find the full list right now on it. Yeah, Bobby and Stan Lane from the Midnight Express. I think it's that. Barry Windham, that's right. So these are like the bigger names back then in NWA. Sting was still pretty new, but he got very popular. So it's a nuts and bolts looking wrestling game, right? When you look at the gameplay is already online, which is great. And like I said, they got the Frank Savoldi, the Video Game History Foundation to preserve it. He actually did it's funny. He actually tweeted himself doing like a speed run of preserving the ROM.
Oh,
from his analog mini NT, which I should have got a mini NT. I don't know why I didn't get one. There's an elimination series single match. Some of the animations look like they could have been a predecessor to the WCW game, but
like the kicks look like they have no frames of animation, just like the original. Or
the drop kick looks similar.
Out. Yeah. So basically, everything from grappling to a lot of the assets around it look different. Look different, but some like the striking looks the same.
But it's a different game.
Yeah,
you cannot really call it a prototype of the other one. It's just an entirely different game. Because even the wrestler list is entirely different. This was slated for 89, and WCW wrestling came out in 90. So that was enough time. And that developer was this developer.
Sega.
What's that?
Sega
did this UWC.
Oh yeah.
The one for NES was Nihon Busan. Did that. Okay. I don't know if they're related to Sega at all. But no, this is an interesting time for game preservation. Obviously, we'll get into the other story in a second. And I'm just happy. There's not much else to say about this. It almost looks like it's the WCW style of pro wrestling on the NES. That's what it kind of looks like and kind of plays as, except there's submissions and things like that. There's a elbow on the head. There's a suplex. There's like a scorpion death lock. I don't know. I have to watch more gameplay. I'm guessing all the guys had a similar moveset, but I'd have to see and play through it. There's a referee in the ring, so it's like it was modeled after pro wrestling. Then they kind of went from there. You can go outside the ring. The referee has pink shoes on, which is cute. So, all right, there you have it. So thanks to Archive 1981 for helping to preserve it there. And we're going to get to him again in another topic. But do you want to talk about Hi-Ten Bomberman?
Yeah, so this is actually...
Hi-Ten Bomberman.
This is awesome. So just a few days after... it's like a week after that happened with UWC, Frank Cifaldi of Video Game History Foundation tweeted out that Takeshi Maijin, the main character in Adventure Island, the famous guy who could fire off 16 shots in a second with a controller.
Could he really?
Yeah, that's what the shooting...
And he was a model for Master Higgins?
Yeah. He was the lead character in Adventure Island for Master Higgins. He sent the long-lost Hi-Ten Bomberman game disc to GamePres, which appears to be a game preservation organization in Japan.
Oh, interesting.
This is crazy because this game never got a official release.
Explain the game premise.
Explain it first. So basically, Hi-Ten Bomberman is high-definition 10-player Bomberman. It was only used for the summer... Well, for the most part, only used for the 1993 Summer Caravan. I think we've talked about these briefly somewhere on the podcast before, but a Hudson Caravan was like a touring competition that went around in the summers in Japan.
And they would make up games for some of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they would... Yeah, so usually there was like... that's like where... Actually, Recco is a different one, but summer caravans and summer carnivals were the touring like game competitions. So
sure.
You would always find like special games made for them to bring people out. So for this one, it was Hi-Ten Bomberman. Hi-Ten Bomberman uses high definition technology at a time when that was basically unheard of. NHK, which is the broadcasting corporation over there, one of them, had a lot of, I don't know, I guess faith or stock in high definition stuff, so they wanted to show it off to the people.
So so HD TVs were like a new concept, so this was almost like just a proof of concept to show you this is what the future is going to be.
Right. So the TVs that it was run on were multiple $1 million televisions in terms of price. Yeah. And the system that the game ran on it's custom hardware. It was basically powered by 2 PC Engine core duos as well as other things. And it was stated that those systems cost up to $2 million each. That seems
pricey.
It seems high, but
when you look at the there's an image of the competition at the time. With there he is, looks like Master Higgins himself hosting it with a yellow Hudson B shirt that I must find, a yellow Hudson B polo shirt. I will pay any amount of money for that. Anyway, the TV looks like a standard high definition, almost like a plasma heavy glass, like the first generation of these HD TVs that came out in like the early 2000s. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's only like about a 40-inch TV, 36 inch, something like that. And yeah, you can see the about 10 people playing on a gray, looks like just a standard PC Engine core.
Yeah,
that's all that they're playing on it. With a turbo tap, with the white PC Engine turbo tap coming out.
There's 2 turbo taps that are themed to look like Bomberman.
So you're saying no, they were somehow coordinated together, the 2 different PC engines.
Yeah, it's the system was built using 2 cores.
It's 2 cores in it.
System,
okay, because the picture I'm looking at, they're actually playing on just looks like a one PC engine. Unless it's redesigned inside with different guts.
That's what it must be.
Sure.
Either way, it's really cool to see it. Other than that caravan, it was put on display for a short period of time where people could play it. But other than that, it's never really been seen since. And while the custom hardware is still thought to be long gone. At least now the code can be studied and looked at, and people can see how it was done.
According to this thread on Reset Era, it was 1035i, so not exactly 1080. That's freaking close.
Right.
And then I won't get into interlace versus progressive. Back then, for something like this, it doesn't matter really. It was 60 frames. Or no, it was not 60 frames. I'm trying to find the frames on this. I don't know if it was 60 frames, but the fact that it was 1035i, it's a widescreen image. It's like a 16:9. Yeah. This is what would have been needed for the Saturn 10-player Bomberman. Like, as you play that game, it's a little tough to see everything.
Sure.
So this is almost like the predecessor to that idea. You probably would say, like,
the characters are smaller, but it's obviously a much crisper image. So
sure. So I guess the bad news about this, if you want to say any bad news, is that it's gonna be hard to emulate this and play this. You have to recreate the.
Well, that's what I was
hardware.
saying. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing anyone can do with it right now. The
Sure.
code can be studied. Maybe something will pop up.
You'd have to like write a whole new emulator just to play this one game.
Yeah.
Which someone will probably do. There'll be a nut out there that says, I want to play this game. Let's do it, and they'll go for it. I wonder if any of the systems or hardware still exists.
That's my question.
That would be
maybe there's something.
Come on, Master Higgins, you holding out on us? You got the hardware sitting around somewhere? I don't know how. I guess you'd hook it up to a composite cable or a component back then or something like that to get the different resolution on the TV. Interesting. Hudson Soft they're pushing the technology.
Yep.
They did it with the CD-ROM tech. They did it with HD 10-player Bomberman. You gotta love the B. Well, Konami, do something please with the property. Something. Do something with them. Don't make me buy them from you. The hostile takeover. Just so I can get a new Bonk game. You know. It's actually funny when you see a picture of what's his name. There's a picture of him, Takahashi Maijin. Bald, he looks like Bonk. Like there's pictures of him, like he looks like he was the model for Bonk as well. He might have been. Who knows? He's a happy-go-lucky sort of guy. He actually does. Even look at the Pat version. He looks like Bonk. You see the picture of him bald? Look up his name and do a Google image search, and you'll see a picture of him bald. It's like, yeah, that's kind of Bonkish, how he looks. He's got the forehead of Bonk. I'm not just making this up. Yeah, just look real quick. There's bald pictures of him. There.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's Bonk pretty much.
Yep.
So the Washington Post also did an article about game preservation, which I thought was interesting just because, well, it's a major newspaper, and they're recognizing this as well. And then Frank Cifaldi tweeted out. These are all issues we talked about before. How to keep classic video games from getting lost forever. Copyright system needs to be updated to protect the games. It's that argument about this. This is from Bo Brunson, talking about all the copyrighted works and legislation that he feels need to be changed. He talks about playing, Super Mario Brothers with his daughter and things of that nature. But what about games that you can't easily, play? And what I'm going to say this is that it's always the argument I talked about before that I kind of disagree with some of my colleagues about, is that let's not conflate game preservation with ease of access to old games. To me, there are two different issues. And I think we just have to keep that in mind whenever we talk about, well, should these games always be readily available for sale? In a perfect world, yes, but it's not always easy to accomplish that for tons of different reasons that we can talk about for like 15 minutes probably about doing that. And I will say this, is that going forward, we have to worry about, I think, more for the digital games that won't be available in physical hardware. The 30-year-old games, don't worry about it. There'll be a way to play those forever. We already have them. Let's worry about the newer ones and what to do about that. I think that's really more my issue, is people worry about these games from the past not being easily available to buy still. It's like, well, let's worry about the games now that are going to disappear once the servers were shut off. That's really the ones you have to be concerned with. Let's figure that out. And Ian just is still looking at pictures of Master Higgins.
I was looking at some Master Higgins, yeah.
Okay.
You know where I stand on this. We've talked about
sure.
it. I stand more towards the ease of access. They need to be around. But, yeah, I mean, it's fine.
We'll figure it out.